Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be making this adorable Your Extra Special Easter card. It's number 5 in my online Basket Bunch online class. You can get the details on how you can participate in this class at my website www.carolbcrafts.com. Let's look at the materials that you'll need. From your class kit, you will need one piece of the thick Whisper White cardstock, a half a sheet of sugar plum, sweet sugar plum. You'll need a half a sheet of the regular Whisper White, a half a sheet of Tip Top Taupe, a quarter sheet of Early Espresso, quarter sheet of Sahara Sand, quarter sheet of chocolate chip, and then you'll need your DSP that has the sweet sugar plum dots in a row. The stamp set that we'll be using is the Basket Bunch stamp set. We'll be using May All Your Chocolate Be Solid, Your Extra Special, the Larger Bunny, and the Bow. The framelits will be coming from the Basket Bill Framelits dies, and those dies that we'll be using are the bunny, the basket liner, the basket weave, the basket handle, the bow, 3 of the decorative eggs, and the larger solid egg. The inks that we'll be using is Sweet Sugar Plum and Early Espresso. And you'll also need either a blender pen, or if you have the Stampin' Right marker in Sweet Sugar Plum, you can use that. We're going to start with our cutting, and we'll have our thick Whisper White, and we're going to cut it at 5.5. And I'll cut it at 5.5 again, just to make sure that it is exactly 5.5. Next, we'll cut our half sheet of regular Whisper White. We're going to turn it landscape and cut it at 4.25, or basically in half. Then we'll take these 2 sheets and turn them horizontal and cut them at 3 3/8. These 2 pieces we won't need for this project. Next, we'll cut our half sheet of Sweet Sugar Plum, and we're going to turn that portrait, and we're going to cut that at 3 5/8. Then we're going to cut a 1/8 inch strip. The larger piece we're going to turn, and we're going to cut that at 3 1/8. This piece we'll use for die cuts. Our 1/8 inch strip we're going to cut at 3 inches. Our half sheet of Tip Top Taupe, we're going to turn it landscape, and we're going to cut at 3.5. And then 3.5 again. Then we're going to turn these pieces and cut them at 3. Our sheet of Early Espresso, we're going to turn that portrait, and we're going to cut at 1 inch. And then at 1 inch again. our chocolate chip, we'll do the same thing. We'll cut at 1 inch. And then 1 inch again. We'll be using the smaller pieces for our project. We won't be cutting our Sahara sand. We'll be using it for die cuts just as it is. Now we're going to cut our DSP, and we want our dots going vertical, and we're going to cut at 5 1/4. And then we're going to turn and cut at 4 inches. So we'll be cutting again at 5 1/4. Turn and cut at 4 inches. Alright, we're done with our cutting. Next we'll score our card base at 4 1/4. We'll score both of them at 4 1/4. And then we'll fold them in half and take our bone folder and burnish our crease. Now we're ready to do our stamping, and we're going to stamp our bunnies. I have my bunny on a D block and my bow on a C block, and we'll be using Sweet Sugar Plum ink. We'll do our bunnies first, and we need 2 bunnies since we're doing 2 cards. But I'm going to do 3 because I'm going to be coloring them and I might make a mistake. Then on our Sweet Sugar Plum, and these are just scraps from our cuttings, we're going to do the bow. And again, I'll do 3 because we'll be coloring the bow as well. The piece of regular Whisper White, we're done with our Sweet Sugar Plum. We're going to use the Early Espresso ink, and we're going to cut, no, we're not going to cut, we're going to stamp Your Extra Special with the Early Espresso ink, and we're going to do it portrait style with down in the bottom right corner. And we'll do both of those. Next we'll stamp inside sentiment, which will be May all your chocolate be solid. And again, we're using the Early Espresso ink. And we're done with our stamping. Now we're going to color our bunnies and our bows. And you can use either your Sweet Sugar Plum marker, Stampin' Right marker, and I'm going to use the smaller edge. And you're just going to go around and color in the bow. If you don't have the Sweet Sugar Plum marker, you can use your Sweet Sugar Plum ink. Squeeze the sides of the ink pad get some ink inside the lid and take your brush from your blender pen and get some ink on it, and then just come in and transfer the ink to your bow. Now we're going to do the same thing to our bunnies. We're going to do the bunny's bow and his necktie bow. And we're going to do the inside of his ears. And we're going to do the tail. We'll clean out our ink container. And then I'll do the last one using the Sweet Sugar Plum Stampin' Right marker. Now we're all finished with our coloring. We'll move on to our die cutting. We're going to start by cutting out our bunnies and our bows, and this scrap piece of paper from our cutting we're going to use to cut the liners for our baskets. So let me get those cut out. Okay, we have 2 bunnies, 2 bows, and 2 basket liners. Now we need 2 of the basket weave, and we're going to cut along the bottom. We'll use this for our basket weaves, and we'll use this for our handles. And this is Sahara Sand, and what we want to do now is we want to put adhesive all along the back of this piece of cardstock. Okay, I put like 3 strips right there, and now I'm going to cover those up. This is the leftover paper, waxy paper from the glue dots that I use, and I have actually found some silicone release paper that I'll be using in my next class for May or for April. So for now we're just going to use the waxy strips from our mini glue dots. Now what we'll do is we'll cut 1 and 2 of those, and then we will cut 2 of these. And it's good to use the die brush to get them out of the die. Makes it easier. And if you need to, you can also use your piercing tool. Okay, we have our 2 baskets and our 2 handles, and I'll show you how I cut the handles so that you'll be sure to get plenty of room for them on your cardstock. Next we're going to do our eggs, our decorative eggs, and our solid egg. And what we did with the adhesive, we're going to do the same thing with our chocolate chip and our early espresso. We're going to put 2 strips of adhesive side by side in the middle, and I'm out. So I ran out of adhesive, and the thing that I like about the snail here is that it's so easy to just pop in a new refill when you run out. So we're doing 2 strips side by side in the center of this early espresso, and then we're going to do the same thing with the chocolate chip. And a little not quite in the middle. Then we're going to get our strips of waxy paper, cover up the adhesive. So we're going to cut our decorative eggs out of the early espresso, and we're going to cut 4. So that means we'll have to cut 1 twice. And then we're going to cut our solid egg. We'll have to cut 5 of those, or 4 of those out of each of the chocolate chip. So 4 solid eggs out of the chocolate chip and 4 of the decorative eggs out of the early espresso. And again, it's good to use the die brush on these intricate dies to get them out of the dies. Now that we have all our die cuts done, we're going to put some of them together. We're going to take off the backing on the early espresso decorative die cuts and put them on the chocolate chip base. Once we have all our eggs done, we're going to take the backing off of the basket weave front and put it on the sweet sugar plum basket liners. Now, if you notice that you have little bumps on your basket, just take the back of your piercing tool and press down and rub them out, and they usually smooth right out. Now we're going to put our basket together with some glue dots. We'll put a glue dot in each one of the sides there at the top. Then we'll assemble the handle by putting it on top of the glue dots that we just put in. And we'll do both baskets. Now we're ready to assemble our card. Okay, we're ready to assemble our card, and we're only going to put 1 card together, so we'll just need the 1 bunny, 1 basket, 1 bow. Now to put our card together, I'm going to set these aside over here. We're going to start by putting our Sweet Sugar Plum DSP on the front of our card base. We'll set that aside, and now we're going to work with our white, Whisper White piece of panel, and we're going to take our Sweet Sugar Plum and our Tip Top Taupe. We'll put our Tip Top Taupe on top of our Sweet Sugar Plum. And when we put our Tip Top Taupe on top of our Sweet Sugar Plum, we're going to put it in the top right hand corner. They'll be flush with one another, like so, leaving 1/8 of an inch on the left and 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. Then we're going to put this onto our white cardstock, and we're going to leave 1/8 of an inch all along the sides and the top. Next, we're going to take some multi-purpose glue, and we're going to put some little dots on the back of our sweet sugar plum strip. They're 1/8 inch by 3 inch strip. And we're going to place it about a half, where the bottom of this strip is a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the tip-top taupe. Roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. And if you have any overhang, you can trim it with your scissors. Next, we're going to put our basket on our piece of sweet sugar plum. But before we do that, we need to put some eggs behind it. And these two are the same, so I'm going to put one of those in the front, and these two will go in the back. So to put these in the back, I'm going to put a glue dot here because it won't show. I'm going to put it on the front at the bottom of the egg. And then I'm going to just set it behind the basket like that. I'm going to remove the backing on that egg. Then I'll take another egg and put some glue dot on. I'm going to put it sideways, so I'm going to put the glue dot on the bottom of the side, like so. And remove the backing from it. And then lastly, I'm going to put this one right here, and I'll put a glue dot at the bottom of that one, like this. And then I'm going to take the backing off of it. Now, before I put this on here, I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. I'm going to put, looks like I'll put 3 dimensionals on the back. And then at the handle, I'm going to put a little strip of, and I want it to be just a little bit thinner than the handle. I'll remove the backing. Make sure you can't see that from the front. Okay, now it's ready to go on our card. And we're just going to put it right here. So we want to make sure we leave room for our bunny. So just about right there is good. And you know, we need to put the bow on the basket, so we're going to use glue dots for that. 2 glue dots, one on each side. Put it right about there. Now we're going to put this last egg. We're going to put a piece of dimensional behind it so that it can be part of the way on the basket and part of the way off the basket. So I'm going to cut a piece about this big, and I'm going to put it underneath the egg on the side there. So that we have part of the egg is on glued, adhered to the basket, and part of it is on a Now we're going to put 2 dimensionals on the back of our bunny. And if you want, which I do, I'm going to put a couple behind his ear. Just a part of one behind his ear. And that's going to show, so I'm going to trim that. We'll remove the adhesive, the backing. And we'll place it beside the basket. And there you go. Now we need to put this on the card base, which we probably should have done that earlier. I have a bad habit of forgetting that. So we have our card base, and I'm going to put it so that we have even spacing on the sides and the top. And now we have our 2 cards all ready to send to someone we love and wish them a happy Easter. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com. Thanks. Bye.